Okay, I think that we can start. Welcome to this webinar. I'll give you a couple of information to start. The first one is that this webinar will be recorded, and at the end of the webinar, we'll send you the recording. The second thing is that in case you had questions, you can just type the questions in the Q&A section, and I'll answer the questions at the end of the webinar. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, we can definitely start. Okay, again, welcome to this webinar. My name is Matteo. I'm a product manager here at MyMove Solutions. The topic of today's webinar is our infrastructure monitoring platform, MyMove. It's going to be a little bit of a different webinar. I don't have a lot of slides. I'm just going to, at some point, just going to share my screen. I'm just going to show you the product itself, what it looks like. Well, you know, since the last webinar we had on the platform, we've been working on, we've been releasing a lot of different functionalities that I'm happy to show you today. But again, I wanted to do it live, so I wanted to just share my screen and just, you know, walk you through the configuration of the different settings, the different tools, and then, you know, show you what the data looks like. Just very, very quickly, I just wanted to give you a reminder, because again, when you look at all of those functionalities, it's important for me to let you know that, what are the values that kind of drive, you know, the development of those functionalities and the progress of MyMove. Well, on one hand, you know, our primary goal is to make certain processes easier when it comes to infrastructure monitoring. You know, we often see even platforms that allows you to you know, access the data, that allow you to you know, access the data, but without a certain level of automation that are really important to reduce the amount of time that then the customer has to spend you know, looking at the data, for example, putting together reports or comparing different trends to see if there is a pattern. So all of those things that require for the customer man hours, well, our goal is always going in the direction of automating those processes. And so creating tools that on a practical level reduce the amount of time that the customer spends you know, managing the monitoring, and so basically reducing the cost of that operation. So that's one thing, and I have to say that in the past few months we've been working a lot in that direction with a couple of tools that I'll show you. The other side of things is always the UX of the product. We believe that like one of the key points of MyMove is, you know, the possibility for everybody to actually you know, access the data, perform those operations that I was telling you about, even without a specific deep detailed training on that functionality. Again, we often see you know, platform that is really complicated to navigate through. Our goal is to make the UX and the UI extremely intuitive, so that even someone that is not an expert can, you know, navigate through the platform and figure out how to create a report, you know, figure out how to access the data and everything. So those are the 2 points that have driven you know, the past few months of development. Yeah, so now I'll just share my screen. Give me just 1 second. So here we are. Okay, so now you should be able to see the platform. Okay, let me just move. There you go. Okay. So when you access the platform, this is the first page that you see. It's a project management page. basically what this page gives you is an understanding of all of the projects that you have, and then it will give you some insights, some quick information on every single one of your projects. The first information you have is the total number of alarms in the different alarm category that we have that was triggered in the past 3 days. And you have all of the devices that are online, and all of the gateways that are online. So information on a high level to just keep an eye on the health of your installation. And when you access the project, so the landing page is a dashboard. Really quickly, we have seen this in the last webinar, but I just want to give you a overall understanding of all of the functionality. So this page has no data, but is just a page that shows you on one hand, again, the status summary, but in more detail. So the sensors that are online, the gateways that are online, but then if you scroll down the page, you can also see the details on the status of every single one of your gateways. In this case, there is just one. So the last time that it sent some data, the last communication, the status again. And then it also shows you about the sensors, the same information, how many are online. But again, here you can keep an eye on some more interesting information on the signal quality. So you can see how the communication is from the sensors and the gateway. So that's one side of things, understanding if everything is okay in terms of signal quality and system status. The other important information that is provided with the dashboard is the alarm summary. The alarm summary is, again, how many in the past 7 days, how many alarms were triggered in the 3 categories. And here again, you can scroll down the page and see the detail of every single one of those alarms. The parameter, let me move this icon up. Okay, so you can see the parameter that it applies to. You can see the value, you can see the threshold that was set at that time. So every single time you get an alarm, you get an email, but you also get a new row in this table. So again, the purpose of this page is not to show you the data, but just to give you an understanding of the health of your entire installation. So if you want to see the data, again, really quickly, because we've seen this already, but there is the Data Explorer page. In the meantime that it loads, so this is a page that gives you access to all of the data collected by all of the sensors in the entire monitoring period. Just let it load. So what this page gives you the possibility to do is shows you the list of all of the sensors that are installed with filtering options, the possibility to only see certain categories of sensors, the possibility to filter and to search through the sensor. So access to the data is as easy as it can possibly be. Also, it gives you a spatial representation of all of the sensors on the picture, and you can configure that from the setting page. We'll just quickly look at it later. So that you can just select from the picture one of the sensor, and you can see all of the data that sensor has collected within the time period that you have set up here. Let me just, okay, there you go. So you can just look at all of the trends, and whenever it's possible, for example, for accelerometers, you can go a little bit deeper, and you can also look at the waveforms. Again, in the meantime that it loads. So whenever the sensor has also like a deeper level of of data, so you do not only see the trends, but you can also go and look at the actual waveforms that sensor has collected. So you can see it down here. And this is a specific example with the accelerometer. When it comes to different sensors, you have, for example, the tilt meter that has the, the two angles that it can provide. I mean, every single data point that has been collected can be seen from this page, sensor by sensor. And the system is also, there's some different types of graphs too. For example, for a vibrometer, you can see the scatter plot with the alarm threshold already set. Unfortunately, the call is slowing down my my internet, as you can see. There you go. There you go. So you can see all of the data that has been collected. There you go. And you can see, on the scatter plot, when we do vibration monitoring, this is just a standard representation. You can see all of the points, and you can put them on a scatter plot with, the alarm profile that changes with the frequency. So every single piece of information that the sensor has collected can be seen sensor by sensor in this page. But then there's another layer, which is definitely even more interesting, that allows you to compare, to take different information from different sensors and put them on the same graph, overlap them on the same graph, to have an idea of how different parameters can be correlated. So that's what we have been doing in the past few months with the analytics page. So the analytics page is a folder-based tool. It means that you can create several folders, as you can see here. Every single one of those folders is just a container, and every folder can contain profiles, what we call profiles, up to 20 profiles per folder. A profile is basically a graph that the user can configure, and the user can decide to overlap any type of any parameter that can be collected by any of the sensors on the project. And by overlapping them, you have the possibility, again, to have like a comparison between different trends and see if there's correlation. So what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to show you the entire flow of configuration. So we're going to create, so first off, as you can see, again, you have a list of already existing folders. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new folder and then put a graph in that folder. So we can add a folder. We can call it, for example, span 2, and we can give it a description. Span 2 of the bridge. Okay, so here's our new testing folders. When you access a folder, you can see all of the profiles that have been created within that folder. And then at the end, we'll look at how you can look at the data folder by folder. So, for example, we're in span 2, our new folder, so we can add a profile. Adding a profile, again, it means creating a graph where we overlap different parameters. So let's give it a title. For example, angles with okay. And here I'm going to do okay. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add a trace. So the traces are the different parameters that are going to appear in the graph. So I'm going to add a trace. I'm going to look for a tilt meter. I'm going to get, so while configuring, you automatically have, of course, all of the parameters that specific sensor can provide. So we're going to get phi angle, which is one of the 2 angles that this tilt meter can provide. You have some customization options on the title, on the line type, on the thickness of the line, and then the color. So we're just going to change the color. And in the meantime that you do the configuration, once you add a new line, you can see it see the preview of what the graph is going to look like. So now we're going to add another one, which is going to be a temperature. So I'm going to get a tilt meter again, and I'm going to get a temperature trend. We'll just leave it blue. We'll have it dashed. There you go. So what's happening here is that the system is understanding automatically that the two parameters that we have added belong to two different type of measurement. One is an inclination, the other one is temperature. So what the system can do, it can automatically add two y-axis because the two measure are not the same. So you don't have to specify yourself that you need two different y-axis. There is a mapping behind the entire tool that allows you to just select the parameters that you want from the different sensors, and then the system can automatically add as many y-axis as the graph needs to, allow you to understand the information that you have on the graph. So once you have added your lines, at that point you can configure the date interval. I mean, of course, in the analytics page, when you're looking at the data, so once you have saved here and you go look at the data, well, of course, you can change the date range for every single graph, because at that point you're looking at the date range that you're interested in. What you're doing here, you're just setting a default value. So every single time that you access that folder, all of the graph that you'll see listed in that folder, they will have that time range that you're configuring right now in the configuration page. So for example, you can have different options. You can have some shortcuts. One could be the last 90 days. Or you can set, like a custom date range where you just specifically select a beginning and an end for the default date range. So it's going to be locked in the past. Or you can have some moving windows, so you can have the last certain number of days. So what happens here is that there is a moving window that shows you, when you go look at the data, always the previous, in this case, 7 days. Or you can set a date, which will be the beginning, and then the data shown will, when you go look at the data, will always be since that day until today when you look at the data. So you have many different options. You have a really versatility in that sense. So we're just going to add, I think we're just going to get a shortcut here, and we're going to do this week. There you go. Oh, there's no data this week. So let's do last month. There you go. So now we're going to go ahead and save it. We've added all the information. So as you can see, we added within this span2 new folder, we've added a profile. We could add as many profiles as we want. Actually, there's a maximum number of as 20 profile, but it's typically more than enough. So what we can do here now, we can go back in the analytics page and we can look at what we have done. So this is the folder span2 with the graphs. There is just one right now. I can give you an example of another one that has been created already that has a lot more graphs. It's going to take a second to load because this one has, I think, 7 or 8 graphs. Yeah, so what's interesting here is that, again, you can create a set of profiles grouped together in different folders. That one could be span1, one could be, span2, or different piles, different structural elements can have different folders. Or you can even have them by team. So you have different teams that, will work on different parameters and different information. So different teams of people, so you can have different folders in that sense as well. Yeah, so let's just give it a second. Yeah, in the meantime, I can show you, there you go. In the meantime, there it is. Definitely connection's not helping, but here we go. Yeah, so as you can see here, you have all of your graphs. In this case, you have several profiles. You can see them all here. So you can customize. This is the default time range that has been selected, and you can change it, of course. But then when you go back, I mean, when you change page and then you come back, it will be brought back on the default page. Okay. So this was the analytics profile, the analytics tool. Sorry, so possibility to configure different graphs. Something interesting is that what we're working on right now is adding different types of graphs to this tool. So you will not only have the possibility to add line charts, but we'll also add scatter plots, for example, and and then even 3D graphs, for example, for IPIs, for in-place inclinometers. So if you have inclinometers chain, you have the 3D profiles as well. So the expansion of this tool goes in the direction of adding more, adding versatility in the type of graph that you can have as a profile. So now let's go ahead and let's look at the reports tool. This is something else that we have released a month or two ago. So the reports tool is a template-based tool. So what it means is that you can create a template, and you can add a lot of information, to the template in terms of data. And then what you do, you can just save the template in our server, so that then you can come back and have the template ready to just, change the time range and download that template maybe on a monthly basis with the new data that came in every month. What I'm going to do here, I'm just going to try to create a report template to show you how it works. This is a list of templates that have been created already. I'm going to add another one. So we're going to do, for example, here's the name, bridge monitoring. So the first page of the report will be what we call the cover page, and it will contain the general info. The general info is, a bunch of information that you can, there you go. A bunch of information that you can add, and that will be displayed in the cover page. For example, the report title, we can do again, bridge monitoring. As you can see, there's a live preview. So as you add information, that information is immediately displayed in the preview. Here we can add a project name. So bridge over river. Going to do, and then we can add a description. I'm just going to paste a dummy text, but just to give you an understanding of where everything is located. You can add a cover image. I'm going to go ahead and try to add an image that I have here ready. There you go. As you can see, you can add an image, and then you can also add a company logo. I'm going to add Move Solutions logo. There you go. The company logo will appear in the header of the template. So as you can see, you have a lot of flexibility in the configuration. You can have the company name as well, the operator name, and the operator role. All of those information will be here at the bottom. So once you configure the cover page, the next step is adding contents to the template. So the contents is the actual data, the real data that you're adding. So let's do add a content. There's 3 different categories of content. So you can add up to this point. What we're doing is expanding that. We're going to be adding the same, I would say, the analytics tool and the report tool. They will progress together at the same time. So we'll add the scatter plot to the analytics, and then you'll also be able to add it at the same time to the reports as well. So you can add, for example, text content. So Let's give it a title. I'm just going to do a test. And then I'm going to use the same dummy text. And as you can see, you have it down here. Then let's try with an image. I'm going to use the same image that we use for the cover. Image, a description, and we're going to go get the bridge picture. There you go. We can save it. And then we can add a chart. So at this point, you get into the same chart configurator that we use for the analytics tool. So again, let's add a title, chart, description, and then we will add just a couple of data, a couple of parameters from different sensors, just to give you an understanding on here as well what it looks like. Okay, so we added one, and then let's overlap it with an acceleration from an accelerometer. We'll just change the color and we'll get the line dashed. There you go. So as you can see, again, the 2 y-axis automatically added. You can see the 2 parameters listed here. You can even copy one of those parameters. You can double it. You can edit it. Something else that you can do on the chart content level, you can lock the date range, because then when you go and download the entire CSV file, you're going to have to select a global date range, and every single graph content will load the data from the servers with that date range that you selected. But you can also do something for specific graphs. You can also lock the date range. Locking the date range means that for that specific content, the date range will always be the one that is set over here. And so this specific chart content will not respond to the global date range. So we'll always have that time period selected here. Typical use of this functionality would be, for example, if you have a baseline at the beginning of the monitoring. So on a monthly basis, you generate a new report with the new data coming in, but you always want to compare that data with the baseline at the beginning of the monitoring. Well, in that case, what you can do, you can just create that specific chart or a set of charts with the date range locked, and you will always have those charts on that date range, maybe a year ago, the beginning of the monitoring. So we can just go ahead and save it, and you see that the charts will be plotted down here. You can reorder the contents. So this one will go up. There you go. Yeah, so there's a lot of versatility. The last thing about the reports is that you can customize a few details. You can decide whether or not you want to show the company logo in the header. You can decide to add the footer with a text. You can activate it and it's going to appear down here, or you can show the page number again on the other side of the footer on the right hand side. At that point, you can just save the template. In the meantime, let me just tell you that something that we're working on right now is being able to schedule. There you go. The new report is right here. This one, the first one in the list. I was saying something else you'll be able to do quite soon is being able to schedule. Something that we're working on is being able to automatically generate and schedule the reports instead of downloading manually the reports. You can automatically get it, for example, every month. So automatic generation is one of the things that we're working on right now. So whenever you want to download it, what you do is you click on download, you see a preview. You just have to give it a second. It's going to load the graph. There you go. So what you do, you just change. There it is. Unfortunately, connection is not helping. There you go. So you can select the date range for the global report. So for all of those contents that do not have a locked date range, and then you just hit apply. You can see the preview, and at that point you can just download, and you will just download a PDF file. You can duplicate a report, so you can create another report that is exactly the exact same copy as this one. And that's interesting because it will give you the possibility, if you have two reports that have a lot of contents, but if they're almost the same, you can just create a copy, and then you can edit the copy. Just gonna have to give it a second. Yeah, I apologize about my connection is not great. There you go. Yeah, so this was the report functionality. Something that we're going to be doing soon is also giving our customers the possibility to import into the report template the profile that have been created in the with the analytics tool. So that's another one of the things that we're working on. So interaction between reports and the analytics tool will be the core of the next few months of this platform's development. Something else that I want to show you really, really quickly is the alarm page. There's a dedicated alarm page that shows you within a specific time range. You can select over here all of the alarms that were triggered. And then we have really important for me to show you is the device page. So again, you can upload a picture. You can, locate your devices on the pictures. I'm going to show you how, for example, I can remove this one. And then, you can just, where did it go here? You can just drag it, and there you go. So, having the possibility even to have like a picture to put the sensors on is really useful. And then there is the entire, device setting page, where for all of the devices, you can go ahead and edit, like all of the setting parameters. You can set the 3 level of alarms. So everything that revolves around settings, sensors, management can be done from this page. Yeah, I think that I'm pretty much done with the presentation. I'm gonna bring the actually the PowerPoint back. Sure. Okay, there you go. So now we can just go ahead. I can just go ahead and answer some questions. Let me see. There you go. Okay. Is there a way to download the raw data from the Data Explorer and Analytics Graph for offline analysis? That's something else that will be released within, I would say, within the next month. It's something that we didn't have yet, but it was really, really important for us to develop it in the short term. Can you relay some sensors data from different periods? We cannot do that yet, but it's something that has been requested multiple times by many different customers. So that's something else that we are thinking of implementing in the analytics tool. And then let me see what else we have. yeah, I guess I've already answered this question. Again, it's going to be possible soon to integrate into a report template, a profile that has been configured in the analytics tool, so that you reduce even more the time that it takes to configure a report. Because once you set, all of the analytics profiles the way you want them, then you just have to add them into the report. Do you guys have any other question? Maybe over here. The same system can be managed from both the old and the new platform. Yes. The new because we used to have an old platform, and now we have MyMove, which has included all of the functionalities of the old platform, and then we keep developing on MyMove. So again, all of the new functionalities will be developed in MyMove, but the same system can be managed from both platform. At different levels. Okay, so I guess that's it. Thank you. Thanks to everybody for all of the questions that in case I didn't answer some of the questions, or if you had additional questions, you can just email us and we'll answer any question you have. Okay, so thank you so much for taking part to this webinar, and we'll see you at the next one.